What does it mean to be human? Android 18, from the Dragon Ball franchise, takes us on a journey of self-discovery and acceptance. A character created as a weapon, who undergoes a profound transformation, leaving behind the coldness of her programming and becoming someone capable of making choices, feeling, and relating. But what can the Bible teach us about this? Does Android 18's story reveal anything to us about the principles that define us as human beings? In this video, we will analyze her journey in light of biblical principles, exploring how her search for identity, freedom, and redemption reflects values that we find in the scriptures. For those who are not so familiar with Dragon Ball, Android 18 is an android created by the scientist Dr. Gero, initially with the sole purpose of destroying the heroes of the story. She and her brother, Android 17, are programmed to be weapons of destruction, without any kind of emotion or free will. Their origin, therefore, is not human, but a mere extension of their creator's will. The loss of her original humanity is a central point in her journey, and she begins the internal struggle to rediscover herself as more than just a machine. As the story unfolds, we see Android 18 questioning her programming and the nature of her existence. At key moments, such as when she decides to spare Krillin's life, her transformation becomes more evident. This gesture of compassion, although small, marks the first genuine choice of her life, something that distinguishes her from a feelingless machine to a person with the capacity to make moral choices. The relationship with Krillin, which initially seemed unlikely, grows stronger and becomes one of the most significant in her journey. She begins to see herself not only as a tool of destruction, but as someone capable of forming bonds and establishing a new purpose. This transition of Android 18 from a programmed machine to a person with feelings, choices, and relationships is a reflection of her search for identity and acceptance. Through this evolution, we see how her humanity is recovered, not by her biological origin, but by her ability to make decisions, to make mistakes, to learn, and to love. Her journey, while distinct from the traditional human experience, raises universal questions about what it means to be truly human. Now, if we turn our attention to the Bible, we can find many parallels to Android 18's story. The Bible speaks of the search for identity, the struggle between who we are and who we can be, and the freedom of choice that defines us as human beings. In Galatians 5 verse 1, for example, we are reminded that for freedom Christ has set us free, which resonates with Android 18's struggle to find her own freedom and true purpose. Her journey teaches us that no matter the circumstances in which we begin, we have the power to choose our path, to seek redemption, and to live with a greater purpose. In Genesis 1 verse 27, it is written, God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female, he created them. This verse reminds us of the intrinsic value of humanity. From the beginning, we were made in the image of God, which gives us dignity, value, and purpose. Even when we experience situations of dehumanization, such as slavery, sin, or other forms of suffering that make us feel distant from our essence, God always offers restoration and redemption. Biblical history is full of examples of people who, even in conditions of degradation or alienation, found in God the possibility of a new beginning. Divine redemption never depends on our perfection, but on His grace and unconditional love. Now, if we look at Android 18, we see an interesting parallel. Created as an android, she feels less human after her transformation. As an artificial creation, her identity is marked by the absence of emotions, by the control of programming. She, as we often do in moments of existential crisis, feels that something is missing, that she is distant from her true nature. But, just as in the Bible, we see the restoration of individuals who have gone through experiences of dehumanization, such as the prodigal son in Luke 15 verses 11 to 32, Android 18 begins to rediscover her humanity through her choices and actions. The prodigal son, after squandering his inheritance and living in degrading conditions, returns to his father and finds forgiveness and acceptance. Similarly, Android 18, by making moral choices such as sparing Krillin and choosing to build a life with him, finds true identity and redemption. Android 18, throughout the plot, learns to accept her new reality, but without rejecting her essence. She cannot return to her former self, but accepting her condition as an android does not prevent her from experiencing what it means to be truly human. She does not limit herself to being a machine. She chooses to live as a person with flaws and virtues, with the ability to love, make mistakes, and learn. This acceptance is something we can all reflect on, especially when we face challenges that make us question our identity. Accepting our humanity, with all our flaws and limitations, is the first step towards spiritual and emotional growth. This connects perfectly with the verse in Romans 8 verse 1. There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. This verse affirms the spiritual freedom found in Christ's redemption, which frees us from the weight of condemnation and sin. Even when we feel alienated or less than human due to circumstances, in Christ we find acceptance and freedom to live according to our true purpose, just as Android 18 finds her freedom by choosing love and connection with others. Redemption through love and choice. Krillin play a central role in this redemption process. It is through Krillin's unconditional love that she finds acceptance and the motivation to reconnect with her humanity. Their relationship is a reflection of the transformative power of genuine relationships. Krillin loves her not for her perfection, but for the person she chooses to be. And this is a reflection of the unconditional love God has for us. In John 15 verse 13, Jesus says, "Greater love is no one than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." This sacrificial love, which Krillin offers to Android 18, is an example of the kind of love God offers to all of us, a love that transforms us and calls us back to our true identity. Just as the prodigal son was welcomed with open arms by his father, Android 18 is accepted and loved by Krillin, not because of her story or past, but because of her choices and her decision to live a new life. This reminds us that redemption and acceptance do not come from perfection or the absence of mistakes, but from the willingness to make choices that lead us to love, grace, and forgiveness. Android 18's transformation is a powerful testament to the power of love to restore and give new meaning to our humanity, something that is also reflected in God's love for us and the relationships He allows us to build.